What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Let's get into a recap of what went down on 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After Season 4, Episode 1. In this recap, we're going to go over Chantal and Pedro, as well as Ashley and Jay. Now, on the subject of Chantal and Pedro, the two of them at this point have been married for 2.5 years. And if you recall, last season, her family and Pedro got into a really massive fight that turned physical over dinner. Like punches were being thrown over the table, as well as food being kicked off the table. And at the end, Chantal's mom managed to snatch the weave straight off of Pedro's sister's head. Remember, Pedro and Nicole is muy malo por her familia. So anyway, as a result of all of this, Chantal and Pedro are still on really shaky ground with her family, especially Pedro. And so now he really wants to move to Savannah, Georgia to have a little bit of space away from her family. And honestly, who can really blame him? Pedro literally hasn't said a word to her family since that fight, and Chantal has barely spoken to them herself. And as they're looking at this potential new home in Savannah, Georgia, Chantal starts to complain about moving away from her family. And I kind of feel like it's the least she can do for her husband. I mean, Pedro has moved to an entirely new country with an entirely new language, with no family or friends to rely on, and he's just asking her to move a couple of hours away from her family so that he can have a greater sense of peace. And you know, it's still in the same state and everything, so it's, you know, I think it is a compromise that she could be a little bit more open to making with him. Things get a little bit more intense between the two of them, as after viewing the home, they go out for drinks at a local bar, and Chantal literally compares them moving a couple hours away from her family to Pedro's sacrifice of moving, like, you know, to an entirely new country. Pedro rightfully dismisses the ridiculous comparison and claims to have no fault in the problems that her family is having with him. See, here is where I take issue with the both of them. Pedro needs to take at least some responsibility for his role in the dinner feud. Like, he's the one who stood up at the table and got really aggressive. He was even aggressive with Chantal's mom before the physical violence broke out, and Chantal needs to stop blaming everything on him as well. Like, her family is constantly antagonizing him. They've been out to get him ever since they found out that he was there to marry her within a couple of days, because Chantal could not be forward with them the entire time. They definitely both need to cut each other some slack and meet in the middle here. So with Chantal blaming him for everything and telling him that everything that's going on is always his fault, he asks her why she's even with him if everything is always his fault, and she kind of ignores the question. And then after they leave the bar, he confronts her about it once again, and about the state of their marriage as well. Like, do you really want to be in a marriage with someone like me then, if I am like the source of all of your problems? And Chantal absolutely just walks away from the question for a second time. And the next time that we see them, they're packing up to leave Savannah, Georgia, and let us know about the fight that they had the last night, and that the fight revolved around how Chantal is always blaming the rift with her family entirely on Pedro. Pedro complains in his talking head to us that he feels like he's nothing because he doesn't have her emotional support. And he also tells her, listen, Chantal, what is the point of us moving if you're always going to bring these problems and these resentments about me, like, everywhere we go? Like, nothing is going to improve in our relationship if you cannot stand by my side and defend me every once in a while. And Chantal doesn't have much to say about it. She's not very encouraging at all towards him, and he eventually starts tearing up. She tries to hug him and comfort him, and he's like, nope, I am not having it with you. And then she leaves the hotel room, and then the tears fall a little bit. Now, the next couple that we see is Ashley and Jay. I, for one, am not very happy to see them here on Happily Ever After. They're a very contrived and fake couple. You know, I would have loved to see them replaced with David and Annie, or just someone else, because I don't love them. But anyway, here they are driving around and talking about the cheating that had broken out. Jay was on Tinder. At that point, they were only married for 3 months, and he is still claiming that he was on Tinder to meet friends and not to hook up with other women. I don't for a second believe that, because I'm pretty sure when you're on Tinder, like, it tells you that it's like a dating app. They keep arguing and Jay keeps denying, and so Ashley gets fed up and she eventually leaves him on the side of the road to walk home because he wouldn't admit to thoughtin' and boppin' on Tinder. One of the funniest things about all of this is that Jay's biggest concern was not like the state of the marriage really. He was just talking about how his marriage falling apart would mean him going back to Jamaica, and I feel like that tells you everything you need to know about his intentions, you know, when he hooked up with Ashley and came over here to the United States. He finally manages to walk his little ass home, or maybe he hitchhiked. We will never know. So he gets there and, you know, realizing that his green card is on the line, he finally tells Ashley that, hey, like, I admit I'm wrong. Like, I apologize for what I did to hurt you, and I want to know how we can mend our relationship. And he also says that he was only on there because he didn't feel like he was getting enough attention in his relationship with Ashley, and he was feeling very lonely, which I call BS on. First of all, Ashley has to work hard because she's got kids to raise, and you as well. She sponsors your visa to be here. And, you know, the reason I'm really calling BS on that is that Jay has a lot of opportunities to make friends. He goes to a barber shop where he really liked the guys really liked him, they got on very well and talked so much about like their personal lives, and, you know, he could easily become friends with them outside of the shop. Ashley also threw a welcome party for him when he came in order to help him gain friends. Like, he could have connected to people there as well. Like, he's got ample opportunities. If I'm not mistaken, he also works as a tattoo artist here, not here in the US, I'm in Canada, in the United States. So who are we really believing here? Anyway, you guys, that wraps up what went down between Chantal and Pedro and Ashley and Jay on 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After Season 4, Episode 1. But as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. You can also like this video, subscribe for more. Feel free to share it with your friends as well, and follow me across social media where I absolutely love chatting with you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.